ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon. Oh, wake. Did you ever been hypnotized? I'm a little bit of a control freak, to be honest. I don't know if I could do it, but I did go see a show that blew me away. Listen, this right here, this is the most original, creative, terrifying thing I have seen, and it's playing in New York. You need to check this show out. And I'm so excited that we have the one and only Colin Mochrie. You've watched him on Whose Line Is It Anyway? And Asad Mecci here to talk to you all about it. Right now at the Daryl Roth Theatre in downtown New York, there's a show that I got to see twice. Okay, listen. Imagine improv while hypnotized. And I went twice. So I know that there's two groups of people that are brought up on stage. There's no plants out there. This is the real deal. And it is an amazing original night of theater. And you need to get your tickets and see it this month. Please welcome the stars of Hyprov, Colin Mochrie and Asad Mecci. Welcome.
Hey, Robert, how are you?
Listen, I saw the commercial for this show on Playbill or Broadway World, and I thought, where did this idea even come from?
I'll give you the rundown, Robert. I was touring around the world performing for Carnival, Celebrity, and Royal Caribbean cruise lines, performing my solo act, and I wanted to get better at my craft. So I ended up taking courses at the Second City in Toronto. Oftentimes, the instructors would say, hey, you're too much in your head. Get out of your head. And what I took that to mean is stop consciously constructing the comedy. Just let it flow. We want unconscious functioning. We want a knee-jerk reaction than trying to consciously construct something that's funny. And then I realized what they were doing. They're hacking. They were actually engaging the conscious mind with tons of information. That's the part of the mind that deals with the critical analytical part of the mind. And then they were accessing the unconscious part of the mind through all these drills. And I thought to myself, wait a second, with hypnosis, you can hypnotize somebody and get direct access to the unconscious. So I thought, is it possible to hypnotize somebody who has no improv experience and turn them into a great improviser? And the answer's been a resounding yes.
Well, Asad, you showed us all in 1 minute and 45 seconds that you're way too smart for this show.
That's why I'm here. I'll dumb it down.
And it is fascinating because you literally, I wish as an actor I could be as spontaneity and the free that you see that these volunteers from the audience are able to do. Colin, when you saw this, was this the most terrifying idea you could have possibly ever heard?
Yeah. I mean, what could be more terrifying than working with people you've just met who are in a hypnotic trance? Nothing really. But it's been really good for me. I think it's really taught me a lot about improv because these people, they have no end game. They're not, when they're improvising, they're not saying, oh, okay, we're going to head to the point where this is how it'll all wrap up. They're just immediately in the moment reacting to whatever is happening, which makes it fun for me because I have to deal with whatever they're coming up with. And I'm the one who does have to find an end game because we have to end those scenes at some point. So it's just been a wonderful experience.
Well, if you've ever seen a hypnotist show at a function or an event or somewhere, and then you've seen improv, you've seen Whose Line Is It Anyway, you've seen Colin do his show on tour or whatever, you really do see a combination. Asad, in the beginning of the show, you spend about 50, without giving any spoilers, you spend about 15 minutes with 20 people randomly from the audience, and we get to see firsthand, as close as we can be, to the process of hypnotizing someone. Can you tell us, like, what is going on? Is the language you say, is the music, is the whole environment necessary for somebody to be hypnotized?
Yeah, so a lot of it's language patterns. So using specific language that will create this hypnotic state. And as well, a lot of it has to do with nonverbal communication. So when my back's towards the audience, I'm nonverbally communicating with the people on stage. A lot of it has to do with people who are predisposed to being hypnotized. They start to come up on stage, and already within seconds, they're already starting to exhibit these trance signs, which would be mask-like facial expression. So a poker face, if you will. And then they have something called riveted attention. So they just kind of focus in on me, and then everything else, all the other variables kind of just drop away. So they kind of have tunnel vision. And when I'm hypnotizing them, I'm looking for unconscious feedback. So I'm looking for changes in rate and location of respiration. So breathing changes. You breathe from your upper chest, your middle chest, and your lower chest. And I'm looking for shifts in that breathing. So I look for changes in skin color. So there's you're either light or dark, and you actually see these shifts in these people. And then there's changes in skin tonus, which is there's a shyness and dullness to the skin. So people start to change moment to moment. And what hypnotists call is what we use, the language that we use is calibration. So we're calibrating and watching this behavior change moment to moment, and we're looking for the changes. So as we start to see these changes, we start to recognize that these people are starting to go into a trance. In your regular day, so an example would be in your regular daily life, when you talk to people that you know really well, and you're having a conversation with them, and then all of a sudden their eyes defocus, they no longer focus on you, they kind of look through you, and you can kind of tell, I don't think they're really paying attention right now. They're going into a trance. So on stage, I'm creating that environment and then using it to, I guess, perform this show where we're melding hypnosis and improv together. A good way of explaining hypnosis from my perspective would be what poker players are looking for when they're looking for physiological tells. So to determine what your opponent's holding in a hand, the poker player is constantly trying to assess their nonverbal communication and all of these things. They're looking for breathing pattern shifts, all of that stuff. So it's kind of the same type of thing. That's the best way of kind of putting it into a box that people can understand.
It's fascinating. Listen, in real life, I'm a 5th grade teacher, so I put people in a trance every day. So I know that look when they're looking right through you. Colin, Colin, you have, from being from Second City to all of the television shows to Whose Line to all of the improv experience that you've had working as one of the premier improv artists out there. And I know the excitement of the tightrope walk of improv. When you go out on that stage and now you're the only person on that stage that you know is him. Mm-hmm. And now you're working with a whole group of strangers in scenes with them. How much of the premise, how much of it is constructed, and how much of it every night surprises you as to where the participants just lead the comedy?
Yeah, we have. I mean, we have certain games that we play each night, so we have that framework. But that framework is for us. They don't know it, and they certainly don't follow it with any consistency, which makes it exciting. There have been times where we do a film noir at the end, where I try to bring everything together. And there have been times where the person I've accused of murder says, this isn't really happening. This is all in your mind. It's like, what? Now I have to figure out a way to bring that around. And so what I love about it, when I'm working with the guys from Whose Lines, we've worked together for over 30 years. So I can usually tell where they're going in a scene. And if I don't, I know enough just to follow. With these people, I have no idea. So I have to constantly listen to them harder than I listen to any other improvisers, because anything they give me is something that could help me a little later in the scene, or will take the scene into a new direction, or just add this extra layer that makes it so much fun.
I can speak personally. I went to your opening, and I was after the show, I saw some of the people that were hypnotized, and they were talking to their friends and family, and to eavesdrop on their conversations was the most fascinating thing, because they were explaining, and Asad, maybe you can explain a little bit more. They kind of remember what they're doing, but it's almost like they have no control. They're just instinctively just going off of how they feel. Right. So it's not like you're completely.
Yeah, so they're aware of what's going on. So observably, they look asleep when they're on stage, but they're actually aware of what's happening at all times. the part of the brain that deals with self-reflection becomes disconnected when somebody's hypnotized. So they no longer reflect on their behavior. They just carry out my suggestions without hesitation, without question. And that is great improv, right? Because oftentimes first-time improvisers, they will hesitate. You'll hear ums and ahs, and they'll look a little bit confused up on stage. All of that's kind of gone. So if I give the instructions really simply to these people on stage, for example, you've fallen in love with Colin, you're going to propose to him. They have one directive that they're trying to follow, and that is their only directive. They're not trying to be funny. They're not trying to be entertaining. They're not trying to play to the audience. All they're trying to do is propose to Colin. They've fallen madly in love with him. So it makes for excellent improv. The improvisers that are probably, that are first timers, they really work hard at trying to be funny on stage. Whereas with Colin and Ryan and Wayne, it looks effortless because they're not really good improv. You're not actually working that hard. Is that right, Colin? Is that clear?
Yeah. Thanks for telling everybody. But yeah, that's exactly it. It's all a scam. We're just making stuff up. There's like no pressure. We don't have to learn anything. We don't really have to know anything because everything we say in the scene immediately becomes true because we have to focus. So, yeah.
Okay. He just said he has the easy job. He has the easy job.
I have the easy job. He does have the tough job because he's, they're going in and out of trance throughout the show, and Asad is there to make sure that they're staying in, that everything is going according to plan. Hey, can I be bitter for a second?
Sure.
We've had many people are skeptical about improv. They're skeptical about hypnosis. So we thought, hey, let's put it in one area so they can, save a little time. They don't have to disbelieve everywhere. So we've had people say, well, these people that get hypnotized and then they improvise really well. So obviously they're plants. That's the premise of the show. We're hypnotizing them so they can improvise. And, we do get a lot of actors and improvisers, but as I always say, it doesn't mean they're good. And there was this woman who was our star one night, and her friend said, she is an improviser. She has never improvised like that in her life. It was natural. She was grounded. So we're constantly trying to prove to people. And I know we should be just happy knowing in our hearts that we know we're not fooling in and using plants, but still, it hurts, Robert. It hurts.
Colin, I get it. I went the first night and I said, I've seen behavior up there. I've seen people passed out on that stage, completely out, shivering, hot, taking their clothes off. I've seen people that would not, well, maybe they would act like this in their real life, but I wouldn't think that they would. And then I went back the second time and said, I'm one of the, let me see if I recognize it. They're not. Same kind of behavior, same kind of hypnosis, totally different show, totally different ideas from the audience, and it's all interactive. So if you want to be hypnotized, you can get good seats, get those seats up front, run up on that stage. But even if you're not picked, you're a part of the show the entire hour and a half that you guys are up there. The whole show is interactive and so off the cuff and spur of the moment. It's really a thrilling evening of theater. It's thrilling.
Thank you. I say to the non-believers, come to the show 10 to 20 times and you'll see.
That's it.
Put your money where your mouth is.
It's fascinating. And you have a great, you have a musician on stage that he's playing and adds the ambiance and the ideas through all of this. Question for you both, whoever wants to answer. Is there a plan if something goes wrong? Like what happens if it's not funny? What happens when things just go completely off the rails?
I'll jump in there.
Please do.
So at the beginning, when we first started, I was a bit nervous doing the show. I'd taken improv classes, but I'm nowhere near Colin's ability, right? So at first, when things would start to go wrong in a skit or an experiment, we call them experiments because we really don't know what's going to happen, I would cut the experiment short. So, things are starting to go sideways. The audience doesn't think it's very funny. It's kind of, we're starting to bomb. I'm like, oh God, let's just cut it short and then stop this experiment and move on to the next experiment. But Jeff Andrews, Colin's longtime manager and one of our partners on the show, said, listen, don't do that. Don't cut the experiment short. Let it live on and let Colin work his magic. And after that piece of advice, I'd let the experiment continue to go. The show would look like it's crashing and burning. And then Colin would slowly resuscitate the bit and just turn it into an incredible crescendo. Unbelievably masterful at his craft. So the answer is no, it really doesn't go horribly wrong, because even if it goes terribly wrong from the audience's perspective at the get-go and my perspective, Colin's able to save the experiment. It's phenomenal to watch him work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we also get a little leeway from the audience because they know it's improvised, and they can also see when it's starting to fall apart a little. So there's that excitement of how are they going to get out of this, and will they get out of this? So that adds a little fun tension. So no, it's as Asad said, sometimes it's starting to go south is like the best thing for us. We had one person doing an interpretive dance. It was the worst dance you'd ever hope to see. It was like he was stuck in the final part of of Les Mis, where he just did a 3-step in a small square. But it became like one of the funniest things we'd ever seen.
Because of Colin's incredible narration. He was narrating it, justifying this terrible dance, and the audience was going nuts.
Well, one of my favorite parts to see is Colin's reactions to people that yell things from the audience. I mean, you've been doing this for decades. You are and you still look like you're having a blast. You're still entertained by the audience, by the people on stage. You're laughing along and in awe of this experience just as much as the audience.
Oh, absolutely. It's fun. I said to Asad when we first started doing this is the reason I love doing this show. It's like at no point can I just sit back and go, oh, okay, I'll let them take care of this. It's like, no, I have to be invested, and everything they say surprises me. So I love being outside of my comfort zone, and this show could not be more out of my comfort zone than anything else I've ever done.
It's thrilling. Asad, you also, if you go to his website, you talk about scientifically how it's proven hypnosis is a scientifically proven phenomenon. And you also could have private sessions with you. You help people with all sorts of problems. How does hypnosis help people if it's smoking, if it's diets, how does that work?
Yeah, so there's so for weight loss, it's goal-driven imagery and process-driven imagery. Goal-driven imagery would be imagining that you're 30 pounds lighter in 3 months. Process-driven imagery would be imagining all the steps that you need to take in order to get to your goal. So you're setting up a blueprint for your unconscious mind through imagery exercises. As well with smoking cessation, you've got stuff like post-hypnotic suggestion. So every single time you smell cigarette smoke, every single time somebody offers you a cigarette, you'll be reminded that you're committed to remaining smoke-free for the rest of your life. You can also add in aversion therapy, so you can, while a person's visualizing, when a person is, visualizing the cigarettes, they can imagine something that's terrible tasting associated to the cigarettes as well. So there's a variety of different things that you can do with hypnosis. Hypnosis is great for painless dentistry, painless surgery. In South Florida's largest hospital, they do hand surgeries with hypnosis as the only anesthetic. So imagine that you walk in, the psychologist talks to you for 10 minutes, gives you the suggestion that your hand's numb. They go in, perform major hand surgery on you, and you don't feel a thing. Like it's unbelievable how powerful the mind is. And then I've worked with athletes in the area of peak performance. So there's stuff like visual motor behavior rehearsal, where the athlete imagines to the best of their ability doing their perfect golf swing or their perfect stroke or whatever it is, a knee bend. And by doing it in their mind's eye, it strengthens neural pathways, increases timing, motor coordination, as well as it helps with sleep hygiene. So a lot of athletes, they get keyed up before a race or an event. And with hypnosis, learning how to use progressive relaxation and breathing patterns, you can really relax before going to sleep at night. It helps with sleep.
It's so fascinating. It's so incredibly fascinating. I have a list of all the things I'd like you to hypnotize me to stop doing. Please, please help. Colin, can you, for everyone out there that's an aspiring actor, improv, comedian, etc., can you just, it's one of the themes that I talk about on this show a lot, is that art form is just like medicine, is just like anything, it is a skill. Can you talk about any, I'm sure you get this question a lot, advice, how important it was for you to have a foundation, the roots that you had in this medium, so that people know it's not just like get up and do some improv, that there is an actual skill and the theory behind it? Is it something that you found important as a foundation for your career?
Oh, absolutely. And not only my career, I've been using the yes and principle, which is basically the main basis for improv. Is somebody gives you an offer and you immediately accept it. And then you work on building that, and that's how you build up the scene. And my wife and I actually made a conscious effort maybe 15, 20 years ago to, hey, why don't we use that in our actual life and say yes to things within reason that, well, maybe take us a little outside of our comfort zone or open us up to new experiences. And our very first test of that, like, we made this vow, and like the next day we were asked to go to the Congo to do some commercials focusing on children there and trying to get them foster care. So we said, well, we said yes. And it turned out to be one of the most amazing life experiences. We were in the jungle, we were in the middle of nowhere, abject poverty, but these people had this incredible spirit. It was wonderful. My major advice, if you're going to go into the arts, if there's anything else you can do, do it. Don't come into the arts. But if it's something that you have to do, if it's something you can't imagine not being able, then yes, do it. You need that passion. You don't go in because you want to be famous. You don't want to go in because you want to make big bucks, because trust me, it doesn't happen that way. I'd say probably 1% of the people in the Actors Union are people that you would recognize. All the rest are working stiffs just trying to make a business. But you need that passion. You have to keep learning. Make sure you know people outside of the arts area. Meet as many different people as you can, because those are people that you'll draw inspiration from, things from, oh, I could use that person's need to be loved in some character. And learn just keep learning. Read a lot, especially when you improvise. We kind of have to keep up with all the pop culture references. And I mean, I have a wealth of idiotic information that I can't use anywhere else except with improv. I actually know from Gilligan's Island, some of you younger people may want to Google this, I actually know the real names of the character of, like, the skipper, his real name was Jonas Grumby. Thank you. Useless information, but it's something I can use. And in improv, that's the beauty. All this information that you bring, you never know when you can use it. There's this theory that, you know, when people see their lives flash before their eyes, when they're about to, they're in a situation, they're about to die, there's a theory that what is happening is your brain is downloading everything you know to see if there's something that can help you get through this particular crisis you're in. It's the same with improv. The more you have, the more it just goes through your brain when a certain thing comes up. So education. Well, that means everyone watching needs to get tickets. And when he asks for something, you need to yell out Jonas Grumby. Exactly. Anything other than gynecologist and proctologist, please.
Everyone, you need, there's meet and greet tickets, there's front row tickets available, there's a lot of shows every single week, so you can find the time in your schedule to head on down to the Daryl Roth Theatre and see Hyprov with
sorry, Robert, I don't mean to stop you there. Hyprov.
I keep saying, thank you, please correct me, because I don't want to say the wrong thing. Hyprov.
You probably went when you were high. That's the problem.
Oh, well, is there a day that I'm not? Thank you so much. thank you both so much. It was such an honor to talk to you. Everyone, you can get your tickets and check them out. You guys are going to be here for at least the next month, and then who knows where and what next. I'm looking forward to the show being everywhere because you need to check it out. It's the most original night of theater that's going on in New York City for sure.
That's very kind of you. Thanks, Robert.
Thanks, Robert.
Well, how about that? Fascinating, right? Truly, truly such an interesting show. I highly, highly recommend it. I want you to go check it out. You'll be so in awe. Who knew people? What? Insane. Everybody, thank you so much. My name is Robert Bannon. It's always great to see you here at the Roundtable, and I'll see you this week. We're live every single Thursday, and then we do some bonus episodes of the Roundtable Talk every single week. I hope to see you again real soon. Take care, everybody. Remember, the best is always yet to come.